environment. Unlike what we have in zoo, zoo is a place where animals are kept. They are brought from different places and put in cage for people to come and see. But natural parks, they are places where plants and animals are preserved in their natural environment. That is where that bird has been since 500 years ago. Or that is where that tree has been existing since over 1,000 years ago. So nobody is touching it. It's not as if it is being planted there. No, it has been there naturally. That is where the lion has been living. That is the jungle the lion has been living since the past 100 years. So what natural park is all about is that the government just gets a particular land, maybe a forest, let's say 1,500 hectares of land, and it's kind of fenced. Not the normal fence that we have, but there is a demarcation. There is this land, this area of land. No hunter comes in here to come and kill any animal, or no timber cutter enters here to come and fall any tree. So the animals and the plants are just left in their environment, their natural environment. The animals are not caged, so they can move. They are free to move, to live their normal life. It's just that they are protected from invasion of hunters and tree cutters. That's just what natural parks is all about. Then they provide enjoyment, recreation and tourism sites for people, the natural parks. So what you do when you visit a natural park is that you have to do some walking, because the animals will not wait for you. It's in its natural environment. You just move around. You can see some at a distance. You can see them just in their natural environment. Then you don't make noise. Unlike in zoo, you can make noise because the animal is even in cage. But when you make noise, when you go to a natural park, the animal will move away. It knows that there is an impending danger, so it has to run for its dear life. So that's natural park for you. Then we have example, the Nairobi National Park in Kenya. Then we have the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. Then the national parks in Nigeria, we have Chad Basin National Park, Maiduguri, Borno State. Then we have the Kanji Lake National Park, New Buza in Niger State. Also, we have the Cross River National Park, Oban and Okwango divisions of Cross River State. We have the Old Oyo National Park in Shepeteri, Oyo State. Then we have the Gashkaza Gumti National Park, Sebetia, Yola, Adamawa and Taraba State boundaries. We have the Yankari National Park in Bauchi State. We have the Zamfara Forest Reserve. We have the Bogu Game Reserve, also in Niger State. Then we have the Obudu Cattle Ranch in Cross River State. Those are some of the examples of national parks that we have in Nigeria. What are the benefits of conservation of natural forests? What benefits does conserving natural forests have? First, it ensures preservation of forest products like timber and animals. I've said that over and over again, that when we preserve our natural forests, there is prevention of indiscriminate falling of trees and hunting for animals. Then the conservation of natural forests puts a check on erosion by crop rotation and planting of cover crops and forests to preserve the soil. You don't just farm and farm and farm and farm on the soil, taking up the nutrients without replenishing it. So conservation of natural forests puts in place checks to prevent erosion by crop rotation and planting of cover crops to preserve the soil. Then it also puts check on desert encroachment and encourages rainfall. When you fall down trees, that's what the characteristics of the desert. There are few trees, very, very few trees. Then you have shrubs available. That is why the wind there are so terrible when they come, blowing sand into the faces of people, demolishing their houses. So we don't want that to be all over the place. That is why we conserve our natural forest. Also, it ensures preservation of natural species. The natural species are there, not the one that we now want to cross. For instance, in some zoos, some animals are no longer there, and to get such animals are difficult. So what they do now, when such animal dies, they embalm their body. You know, there is difference between seeing a live animal and seeing an embalmed one. It's not the same thing. It doesn't have the same life. So we have to preserve our natural species by conserving our forest. Also, the conservation of natural forest leads to source of medicinal herbs. You can get herbs. The plants are not in extinction. You know, some people just say, this so disease. Some plants specialists just go into the forest, cut down this. Some herbalists just cut down trees without replacing them. Okay, we need the root of this particular plant. Imagine there is need for the root of a particular plant, and the herbalist goes into the forest to fall down a whole tree because it needs the root, and it's not going to use all, just a little portion. What happens to the rest is wasted. So we need to conserve our natural forest by putting particular laws in place and restrictions to people just cutting down trees and catching animals anyhow. Also, conservation of natural forests provides employment to many categories of workers. We have forest guards, people that protect the forest, and some people are the ones that are forest guides too. They are the one that tells you, okay, you don't move around this place. This is where we should pass in this place. So employment opportunity is created to many categories of people when we conserve our natural forests. We're talking about the pests and diseases of crops. Pests and diseases of crops. Pests are living things which cause physical damage to man, his animals, his plant crops in the course of living their normal life. Pests are organisms that they are living things, but in the course of their own normal life, their own normal routine life, day-to-day activity, they cause damage to man, to his animals, and to his plant crops. And examples of common pests of agriculture include grasshopper. As its name implies, grasshopper, that is grass eater, causing harm to the plants or the crop of man in its own normal life. Then we have locusts, we have rodents, birds, fungi, nematodes, and insects. Those are examples of pests. Then the pests of crops. Pests attack crops and decrease their production. Then pests may be plants, that is, they may be weeds, or animals, insects majorly. So pests of crop can be either plants or animal, that is, weed or insects. Other pests of crops include animal pests, or other animal pests include rats, mites, nematodes, snails, birds, rodents, or tick. Those are examples of other animal pests. Then some categories of crop pests include stem borers, root feeders, leaf feeders, young shoot feeders, then fruit and seed feeders. These kind of crop pests are just specialized pests, so to say. You know, everybody goes to the university to study medicine, but after a while, we say this particular person is a specialist, consultant, neurosurgeon. We have all of them like that deals with various things. We have dentists, we have ophthalmologists, people dealing with radiologists and the rest. So also, the plants are also specialists. So these are the specialist plants. Some of them that are stem borers, root feeders, leaf feeders, young shoot feeders, fruit and seed feeders. So once you look at these specialists now, what do they do? Stem borers. Stem borers bore the stem of cereal crops such as maize, and they are larvae of certain moths. These stem borers are larvae of certain moths that bore the stem of cereal crops. So they specialize on destroying the stem of cereal crops such as maize. They feed on the stem to weaken it. In the course of their own normal life, the stem breaks even in slicing. When the stem is bored, there is perforation in the stem, so it breaks, and that leads to the destruction of that old plant. Also, the next category of specialist pests, we have the root feeders. They are insect larvae or adults that feed on the roots of some plants such as yam. So when the roots, which is the one that anchors the plants to the soil, is destroyed, what happens? The plant is gone already. So an example of such is the yam beetle. They feed on the roots of the plant. Then the next group, we have the leaf feeders. The leaves of crops are eaten by certain animals such as snails, leaf-feeding beetles, caterpillars of various moths, butterflies, grasshoppers, and locusts. They come to feed on the leaf, thereby destroying the plant. Then we have young shoot feeders. The juices of young shoots of crop plants are fed by insects like aphid. They feed on the shoots, young shoots, very succulent juices of this animal comes to feed on it. And such insects are aphids and mealybugs. Then we have the fruit and seed feeders. They feed on the fruits and the seed of plants. And examples of such fruit and seed feeders, we have the fruit-piercing moths, fruit flies, cotton stainers, and certain beetles. They feed on the fruits and the seed of such plant, thereby destroying it. Since the fruit or the seed are the produce that the farmer most times carry to the market for sale. Then we will now be talking about the pests of some certain crops. And the first is the pest of rice. The pest of rice includes stem borers, which feed on the stem, and you can control it by applying Gamalin 20. Another pest of rice is the bird. Birds feed on the juice of plants. Then you can control them by using explosive. Then crab is another pest of rice. It feeds on the young plants. You can use BHC. Grasshopper